Yay Media Group.
13 has been my lucky number for a while. Like, it's always a sign of good things to come for me.
This is 13, a Taylor Swift fan podcast, breaking down every song, every Easter egg, every era, and every theory. Hosted by the biggest Swifties, Nick Adams, Anna Szabo, Amy Nichols, and Lacey G.
We are joined by someone we've been following for a very long time. Someone I'm sure you've been following for a very long time. Her name's Olivia Levin. You know her as Swifties for Eternity. And now she has a book coming out about her experience as a Swiftie in this fandom. And it's called The Story of Us. Hi, Olivia.
Hi, thank you guys so much for having me on. This has been a very long time coming, and I'm so excited to chat.
We're so excited to have you on. This is incredible. You're a very experienced Swiftie who's written a book about it. So Tell us what started you on the path of Taylor Swift at a young age.
Yeah, I mean, you'll learn about it. This is the book, by the way. This is not the official final copy. This is what we call a galley. So it's what it is going to look like. We're still waiting on final copies to come in. But yeah, you'll learn about it in chapter 1. I kind of tell my story in chapter 1. And I first became a Swiftie, I would say hardcore Swiftie, probably at about 13 years old. Of course, 13. But I started listening to her music when I was 8, 9 years old, and I always loved it. But at that time in my life, I was really more into like sports, you know? And then I don't know what happened. Like a switch just kind of flipped at 13 years old. And I was like, oh my God, I'm enthralled. I need to know everything. I need to know what she writes about, like why she chooses to write about certain things. And so I went down a YouTube rabbit hole, and then I went down the Tumblr rabbit hole. And yeah, I just went all in and have not looked back since. I started my Instagram account and Tumblr account at around the same time, probably in like 2014, I would say. And yeah, Swifties for Eternity. I chose that username, and it still holds true now.
Yeah, I mean, you are quite literally a professional Swiftie. Like, I think it's really, really cool how you were able to take the passion of loving Taylor Swift and essentially make it your full-time job, you know, with social media and things like that. And we were lucky enough to get an advanced copy of your book. So we have already peeked into your writing, which is absolutely fantastic. But there's one part in the very beginning when you're talking about, you know, like you were able to make it a full-time job and things just kind of started happening. You started meeting people, you started going to events, you started doing this. Was writing a book something that you always had in the back of your mind that you wanted to do with the Swiftie fandom, or how did that happen?
So it's kind of interesting. So I graduated college in 2022, and I started working at a book publishing company. And it's not something I wasn't ever really in the world of books, but in the back of my mind, I always wanted to write a book. Ever since I was little, it was like, it's on my bucket list of like life goals. I never really thought it would be about this, but like, this is so much better than I ever could have thought, you know? And I worked corporate at a book publishing company for about 4 or 5 months until one day I got laid off, and I was like, oh my God, what do I do now? And then it was the beginning of the Eras tour, and it was around the time that my account started to blow up. And then as I grew a following, I just happened to meet my now brand partnerships agent, who was like, let me represent you and get you brand deals. And I was like, if you think it'll work, like we can try. Like, I don't have high hopes, but if you do. She was like, might as well try. So we gave it a try. It worked. And I stopped looking for another 9-to-5 job. And it kind of did become my full-time job for a long time. And I started helping people get face value concert tickets as well. That was another thing I did during the Eras tour. And it led me to the other things I do now. And that's still a big part of my job. And it's the best job in the world, just posting about Taylor Swift. Come on.
So the Eras tour literally changed your life. That's when you started going. Oh, but for sure. For sure.
Yes, it changed my life for sure. I had no idea what I was doing in life when it started, and I feel like I figured it out during the Eras tour. And I think a lot of people kind of figured life out during that. I don't know. It was such a good escape for all of us to heal and figure things out.
Which shows did you go to?
I went to 11 shows, I think.
Wow.
So I went to Nashville, Gillette Stadium, which is always my favorite. I always go with my mom. And then I think I went to one MetLife, Indianapolis, and I don't know, I might be missing. Oh, Miami. I went to all three in Miami, that's where I met you guys for the first time.
I know, which is so incredible. And we had mentioned this right before we started recording, but we've been following your social media for so long that we feel like we know you. And then we got to meet you in Miami. You were kind enough to come to our Eras Tour pre-party in Miami. We didn't even go to the concert. We were just in Miami because Swifties were in Miami. And so it was really cool to meet you and to finally have you on the podcast. Does feel like it's been a long time coming. And I do remember that one of the reasons we even wanted to have you on the podcast before, and like this was years ago, is because you have met Taylor Swift and you do write about it in your book right out the gate. And I love every single detail about your experience at the secret session. And I was wondering, and I do want you to share on the podcast about your experience, but I was also wondering, did you, when you were writing this book, did you remember every single detail? Or back when it happened, did you make a diary entry that you referred back to? Like, how was all that? First of all, how was the experience for those that haven't read your book? And second of all, how did you come to write about it?
And how did Taylor smell?
Oh my God. Well,
that's a question we've asked a lot.
Well, you know the answer to that. I literally tell people what perfume she was wearing because it's one of the questions I happened to ask her when I met her. Because I was like, wow, like her whole house smelled good and then she smelled good. Tobacco Vanille, Tom Ford, and then her house scent was Santal Blush. I know everyone knows about that one. But anyways, yeah, so I did write about it in my journal after it happened, and I also recorded voice memos of like the unreleased Reputation tracks, because even though I had only listened to them once at the secret session, I woke up the next morning and I was singing I Did Something Bad. So it stuck. And so I was like in my phone recording voice memos so that I would remember what they sounded like. And then I was recording like song titles I remembered. And back in those days, Tumblr usernames were like a big deal. Like you wanted to get the best Tumblr username. So everyone would remember like, oh my God, there was this song title. You need to save it as a username, as like a secondary username on Tumblr. I kind of explained that in chapter 3. But anyways, I remember a lot of it. I did kind of black out when I was talking to her because, as I say in the chapter 1, I was, a 17-year-old girl from Connecticut. I had never been around celebrities, let alone like my hero celebrity. And like you guys said, like you feel like you know me. I feel like I know you guys from social media. We all feel like we know Taylor, right? So meeting her, it's like she doesn't know that much about you, but you know every little detail about her because she writes so vulnerably. So it was definitely a unique experience, and she lived up to every single expectation I could have had and more. And yeah, I remembered a lot. I was actually surprised at how much I remembered of that experience when I was writing this book. And I almost feel like as I started to write about it, more started coming through. I was like, oh my God, I forgot about that.
Recording voice memos, that's very Taylor Swift of you, which
they were not good.
You already said one word, Miss Author, that I know was over my head. I would assume maybe over Anna's head too. But galley, like you're dropping words that you and Taylor Swift would know, but not the average person would know unless you're involved with that. I think it's so cool that you got to experience Taylor Swift whenever she was more open to the public and was able to be with her fans more, because that was OG Taylor, and that's all that she wanted to do was be able to connect with fans, and she connected with you on that level. That's incredible.
Thank you.
Looking at your book, which I placed my order for this book in October. As soon as you put limited release for the gold binding, I was like, in. I bought several copies. That's going to be in soon.
We know how to buy variants, okay?
Well, I appreciate that. Pre-orders do matter a lot, so.
But I thought it was really cool that you started off with a letter to Taylor Swift. Yeah. And if this ever falls in your hand, this is what I want to say to you. How hard was that to write? Because we've joked for 5 years about what we would or would not say to her. So to be able to, this is it, this is what I would present to her. Was that one of the hardest things to write?
That's such a good question. I spent a lot of time revising that, even though it's only like a page, not even. I wanted to make, obviously everyone's going to read it. So it's not like a private letter to Taylor. I'm sure it would be somewhat different if it was private, but like, that's really what I want her to know. I want her to know that I'm so grateful to her for, you know, changing my life, but also creating a community that changed all of our lives. And I think that would be my overall message to her, even if it was a private letter. So I definitely revised it a ton because I wanted it to be perfect. And I hope that it does fall into her hands. And I hope that she sees that and she's like, aw, that's really sweet.
I think it will. I think it will. And I think the whole premise is so beautiful. How you were able to put into words, into a book, into something physical, the memories and beautiful connections and like the soul of the fandom, especially because we very recently, we did like an Ask Me Anything type episode. And one of our listeners who's very young asked, what did I miss by not being a fan before Folklore? And the thing that we had said is, honestly, you kind of miss the era where Taylor Swift would interact with people. Granted, not just like her stardom has changed, but just the climate, social media is different. Everything is different now. So having your book as a very first-hand experience, like this is what you have missed, is really, really, really beautiful. So thank you for putting all of that into words and into something that every Swiftie can cherish.
Well, thank you for saying that. That's so sweet. And that's really, you know, part of the reason, a big part of the reason why I wanted to write this book is because I feel like, you know, the general public, the ones who aren't the Swifties, they don't understand why Swifties are the way we are.
Yeah.
They also don't understand the parasocial relationship that was created between us and Taylor back in the day. Like you said, she connected with us all the time. We talked to her all the time. So I wanted the new fans that have come in to also understand that like the way things are now, as great as they are, and they're so great. It's so fun being in the fandom still. Things were so different back then. And I don't want people to forget that because it's a phenomenon. It will never happen again. In my opinion, I don't think there will ever be another fandom like ours. And I think because of the timing of when Taylor rose to fame, it happened during the rise of social media. You know, we were all new to social media and celebrities kind of started to use it like, ooh, like I can connect with my fans. And Taylor took it 10 steps further and really connected with us as much as she could. And that's what built such a loyal, like amazing fan base. And I don't think, you know, as much as we like to shit on social media and, you know, a lot of bad things have come out of it, it has been one of the biggest blessings for our fandom.
Agree. 100% agree.
And you do a lot with your platform. You mentioned about giving tickets away. You were giving really deserving people Eras Tour tickets. How did you start to do that? What made you want to help others?
Well, obviously, you know, the Great War, the Ticketmaster War, we all went through it. It was horrible. And I felt so bad for the people who hadn't seen Taylor before. Obviously, I was like, I need to go. It was a family tradition for me and my family to go to multiple shows. And back in the day, it wasn't hard or expensive to get tickets to see Taylor. So this was new to me. This was new to a lot of us. And I wanted to do what I could and you know, make a slight dent in helping people get tickets. And so for the majority of the tour, I would have people message me saying like, hey, Olivia, I have extra tickets or I can't make it anymore. I would love for these to go to another fan at face value. And I was like, that's so sweet, whatever. And I would post those and help people get tickets. And it started taking up a lot of time. And I was getting more and more and more submissions as the tour went on, especially close to when it was ending. And this subscription platform kind of reached out to me, asking me to come like work with them and post some content on there. And I decided, you know, I'm going to try to find a way to make it useful and helpful for people and not just post selfies of myself like some other creators do on there. And so I started posting tickets on there, and if people wanted a chance to get tickets, it did a good job at weeding out the scammers, because I didn't run into a single scam on there. No one would take the time to go through my verification process on there, and it really made sure that the ones who got the tickets were dedicated fans who deserved them.
That's
so
incredible.
Yeah, it was my favorite part of that, and I do tell a couple stories in the book about it, were some of the stories that came out of it, where a mom was going to Miami with her daughter. They were road tripping, they had no tickets, but they had their costumes and friendship bracelets and everything. So like being able to surprise people like that, it was the best feeling in the world.
Yeah, it is really so beautiful. And you do cover a lot of stories in your book, a lot of things from your personal stories like that, the parasocial relationship issue. Is there anything that you didn't include in the book that you felt like you wanted to but weren't sure and just held back, or maybe it just wasn't the right time?
I really tried to get as much as I could in there. There's not one thing that I was like, there were maybe a few inside jokes that I didn't end up including, because I was like, I don't know if Taylor were to read this, how would she feel about that one? Because like, I don't know if you remember this one. There was an inside joke back in the day about how we never see Taylor Swift's belly button. Do you remember that one?
Yeah.
Like stuff like that. I'm like, I don't need to put that in. It's like, it's about someone's body. Like, so things like that, I was very mindful of like, I want this. I don't want Taylor to ever read this and be like, oh, like, why did she write that? So I was very mindful about the things I wrote about, but I really think I got all of it. Obviously I could have gotten more of the jokes and the lore. Like, I tried to encapsulate as much as I can. I'm sure down the road there will be things that pop up in my head and I'm going to be like, damn, I should have put that in. But maybe in a couple decades I'll write a part 2, because I'm sure there will be more to talk about.
Olivia's version. Yeah, no, you did a great job. And that part about the inside jokes, even though if you feel like there's some stuff you didn't include, there was some stuff in there that I was like, oh my God, I forgot about that. Like, yes, whale. I was like, oh my God, I haven't heard that in so long.
Yeah. And it's so like minuscule, but it was such a big thing for us,
Yeah.
Even when Taylor was doing Life of a Showgirl promo, she talked about it. She brought it up. There was one of the radio people talked about like inside jokes or friendship bracelets that she gets. And she was talking about how she'll get friendship bracelets that say, yes, whale. And she's like, that's from a video back in the day when I just said yes, whale, and the fans made it a big thing, and we did.
Loved it. The fuck ass filter also made it in there, which
oh my God, it has to. I mean, I loved when the New Heights podcast, when Travis and Jason talked about it. That was so funny.
They're like, the what filter?
The what filter? Yeah.
So you've obviously always related to Taylor Swift's music, as so have a lot of people. But you mentioned you and your mom would always go to Gillette Stadium.
Yeah.
In The Life of a Showgirl, she had the prelude, the prologue that mentions like, oh, I've seen you before. You were a lot younger last time. Did you feel like that was possibly a shout out to you and your mom?
Oh, I don't know about that, but I think Taylor's always been very good at remembering fans and recognizing fans. And I remember when I would go to like the Reputation concert, I talk about this in the book too, we would run to the barricade and Taylor would see us and wave at us and she'd be like, oh my God, like point to us. So I think she remembers a lot of fans from back in the day, from the Tumblr days, from Instagram. And I'd like to think that if we were to run into each other again, that she would recognize me and be like, oh my God, I remember you, Swifties for Eternity from Tumblr in 2013.
She would though. Like that
One
is
can
so
hope.
that is so Taylor Swift. And I love that you said that when you were writing the book, you were kind of thinking, like if Taylor were to read this, because that's how we feel about our podcast. Like anything that we say, we're like in the high hopes that one day Taylor will know about it or listen to, and we joke. And like we have a word that we say that it's like if Taylor ever listens to the podcast, this is the word that she's gonna say in an interview to let us know that, you know what I mean? So
I love that.
So I totally relate to that because we feel
It's
the
so
same.
possible.
We feel the same
It
way.
is so possible. She is so good at staying in tune with the fans. Even if she doesn't go on social media like she used to, she has a team of people who look at everything and probably hand her a sheet of paper every day and it's like, these are the updates. This is what your fans are talking about. This is what they're bitching about today.
Yeah.
So I think she's very in tune and aware of all of us. And one can only hope that one day she will be able to connect with us in a similar way like she used to.
Yeah.
I really felt like the documentary and the Eras Tour 2.0 was for the fans and not, I mean, we know it was for the fans, but for her to highlight all the creators and give them love too and pay for the videos, like she's really sharing the love. She's not saying, and I think that's cool for her to do that, to not say, I hate all this stuff on social media. People are saying, no, she's sharing what her fans are saying.
Yeah.
And I think that's incredible.
I agree with you. I think that documentary was totally for us, and I think it was so good.
I cried in like every episode.
I could cry just thinking about it. Every single episode was so good, and I'm so glad that she's as proud as we are of the Eras Tour, and she fully understands what it was and like what it did for the world, because it was so grand. And again, she's so in tune with it and how she's changed lives and how that Eras Tour changed lives, and she's not separate from it and like, oh yeah, it was just another tour, you know?
Yeah, and you can even kind of hear that in The Life of a Showgirl, like in the album. Like we said in another episode, like you can just hear that she knows that she is Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
You know, even though she is so vulnerable and so good, and that's why we love everything about her and all of her songwriting, there's a different confidence in Showgirl that I love so much, because like father figure, for example, you know, it's like she just knows who she is. And I think that's thanks to the Eras Tour and like the fact that she wrote Showgirl on the Eras Tour. It's all encompassing. It's just incredible.
And there's a lesson in that too. There's a lesson in that too. Her knowing, you know, who she is, being confident and a badass businesswoman and not caring what people think. There's a chapter on that too. She has taught us so much by the way she chooses to lead her life. And I know I've been in, you know, moments where I'm having a meltdown. I'm like, what would Taylor Swift do? How would she handle this? How would she get revenge? And it would be like, oh, her revenge is being as successful as she can be, knowing who she is, being confident, not apologizing for being herself or being vulnerable. So I respect her so much.
Yeah.
I think Taylor Swift, for me, helped me realize how to break the generational curses and how to not just be bitter and angry, and that you can be uplifting. You can help other people. It doesn't have to be women against women. And that's my biggest takeaway from her, is that listening to her at a younger age just kind of showed me different ways to think. And I love her positivity. I love her community. I love the fact that she scrolls GoFundMe for fun and helps people reach their goals. I mean, she's giving and she's thinking of other people. And that's one thing that I'm really, really proud of her, is that not only is she a phenomenal artist, she's a good person. And that's something that everybody should be able to look up to and think, I would like to be that. I want to be a good person like Taylor Swift.
Yeah, and she's changed and she has evolved, but she has also always at the core remained the same. She's the same good person, good soul that she was when she was young, and she hasn't let fame affect her the way it affects a lot of people. And I think a lot of that credit is probably due to her family.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
And you've met Andrea too. How many times have you met Taylor Swift?
So Taylor officially, like one-on-one, once, that secret session. I have been around her. We seem to always be in the same like buildings at the same time, or like I was in LA a month or two ago for a work thing, and she was upstairs, and then we were upstairs and she was at one of the tables, but I was not going to go bother her. So things like that. And then there was one time, which I allude to a little bit in chapter 1. There was this time at the AFC Championship at a Chiefs game, early 2025. And the Chiefs had just won after almost losing. Everyone was like, stressed. They win, and then I look over, and like 3 feet away from me is Taylor high-fiving us all, and then we all walked to the field together. But again, Donna Kelsey was there, but again, I didn't want to go bother them. They were being hounded by a lot of people, so I'm fine just chilling. It's like when it's the right moment, if I run into her, then it'll be the right moment.
Absolutely. I feel the same way.
Yeah.
I got to go to a Chiefs game this past December, and right in front of her suite. And I also was like, and a lot of people were like, oh my God, like you have to say hi, you have to do this, whatever. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that. It was really cool to be there and to experience and like breathe the same air as her.
Yeah.
But I was like, I A, don't want to bother her, and B, if I ever get the opportunity to meet her, I want it to be on her terms. You know?
Exactly. So, or very organically. And yeah, I feel the same way. I would meet Andrea and Scott like at every show I went to when I was young. So at 1989 and Reputation, when I went to a bunch of shows, like they were always walking around way more than they did during the Eras tour. So a lot of fans got to meet them, and they're the sweetest people. Every time I would see Scott, his thing, he just hands off guitar picks. Every time they're different. And then Andrea just gives big hugs and is just so thankful to the fans.
Awesome. Something else that I love about your book is that it's so easy to read because it is in your voice. It's like, it really does feel like we're reading your own personal journal. What was the hardest part to write?
The hardest part to write, I had so much fun writing this. I can't even say, I would say the editing part was probably the hardest because I wanted it to be so perfect. But writing, coming up with the chapters and writing it was all so fun to figure out that I wouldn't even say it was difficult. It was mostly like deadlines and stuff. That was the hardest part of writing the book. But I would say if I had to pick I don't know if you guys got to this chapter yet, but maybe the hardest one to write was the last one, chapter 13. And it's because I had a vision for it. And it's not even the longest one. It's probably one of the shortest chapters of the book, but I wanted it to have a different kind of magic to it and a different kind of writing to it than the rest of the chapters. And I think I managed to do it, but I wanted it to be very fairy tale. Like even when I was designing the cover, I was like, I want it to give vintage, but I also want it to give Swiftie, but also fairy tale. Because to me, when I was young and I would listen to Taylor, I would think her songs were fairy tales. And she made it all seem so possible. All those fairy tales, they weren't, out of reach. And so I wanted to encapsulate that magic. And then in chapter 13, it was really me summarizing our entire story in a few pages and keeping that fairy tale aesthetic.
Yeah. No, it's beautiful. You should be really, really, really proud.
Thank you.
This is really a beautiful body of work.
I appreciate
and
that.
The title, just absolutely perfect. Does that now make Story of Us your favorite song?
Interestingly enough, when I first became obsessed with Taylor's music, The Story of Us was my all-time favorite song for so long. And it's still my favorite song on Speak Now. So I remember being in the car when I was 14, 13 years old and my mom and I would blast The Story of Us. And we both were like, this is the best song on the album. So it's just very full circle that now that is the title of my book. And I think back to little me, little Swiftie me, and I think she would be really proud and happy about it.
For sure. What is your favorite album?
The Tortured Poets Department.
It just gets better with time.
It does. It does. It's so long. It has everything. And I don't know why I'm obsessed with sad, tragic music. I can also vibe to happy music. I love The Life of a Showgirl. I love 1989, Reputation, obviously. But the Tortured Poets Department just I don't know what it is. I can't explain. I'm sure you guys get it.
I agree because, with our podcast, the way that we do it is we basically go through an entire album. We go track by track. So we spend weeks, months, a long time on every album. So we spent 31 weeks on the Tortured Poets Department and then some because we do the prologue and, everything. And so
oh my God,
the Tortured Poets Department, we were heavy, heavy, heavy in it for a very long time. And then we do Showgirl, which is awesome. But anytime I hear a song from the Tortured Poets Department, I'm like, whoo!
Yep.
What? Like,
Yep.
this is crazy. I feel like Reputation ages like fine wine. It only gets better every single time you listen. And I feel the same about the Tortured Poets Department. Like, it's already a masterpiece the day that it's out. But with the more time that passes, when you listen to any of the songs on those two albums specifically, I feel like they just get better. I mean, everything gets better, obviously. Like, you don't get sick of anything. But I feel like those two albums just age so wonderfully.
I feel like picking a favorite album is like picking a favorite child, you know? It's so difficult. And I say that my first answer is always the Tortured Poets Department. But then I'll be like, in the plane the other day, I was listening to Red and I'm like, oh my God, I forgot how good this album is. It's like, you can't be, they're all so good and brilliant in their own ways. And that's why I kind of, in chapter 2, I wanted to take us through each era and kind of capture the feelings to each, because they're all so different. That's why it's so hard to pick one. It's like, do you want to be happy all the time or depressed all the time? It's like, you can be both.
Yeah, it's more like a zodiac. Like, I feel like you could be like, oh, Tortured Poets sun, but like a showgirl moon, you know?
There's not a single album that I don't like. That's the easiest way to answer that.
And that's why we're able to buy so many vinyls before the album is even released. Somebody asked me that once. I think it was maybe with Tortured Poets when I had already pre-ordered like 4, and they were like, but what if you don't like it? And I was like, Taylor has never released an album. What?
Never. I don't think that would never happen. It has never crossed my mind. Oh, what if I don't like this album? Like, that's not even a thought.
Tortured Poets was just so deep that everybody hated on it at first. All the critics, all the people who aren't Swifties listened to it and didn't understand. Oh, I don't want to listen to an alcoholic complaining about getting out of a hospital. And then they listen again and come back and issue disclaimers. I'm sorry that I popped off at first, but it was a lot to take in. And especially the first half of Tortured Poets Department. Upon first listen, we were a little confused, but I think it was just such a new vibe and new everything that we couldn't comprehend at first. It wasn't a one take listen. You need to go back and listen again.
There was too much brilliance in that album for all of us to handle all at once.
Yeah.
I'm always, every time I listen to a song from that album, I was listening to it actually right before this podcast. I'm always in awe of her lyricism on that album.
Yeah.
It's unlike anything I've ever heard.
Do you have a favorite music video? We just got Opalite music video. I know Wildest Dreams, Blank Space has always been a fan favorite. Do you have a favorite?
Yeah, I love Wildest Dreams so much. I think it's so beautiful. Love Scott Eastwood. He looks gorgeous in that, as does she. And I love the scene at the end with the movie. Oh, it's so old Hollywood. I love that. I also think The Fate of Ophelia is one of my new all-time favorite videos. I'm obsessed with it. I would say those two and Out of the Woods. Those are probably my top 3 music videos of all time. What about you guys?
I was thinking about it while you were answering as well. My issue is that much like you, like I've loved Taylor for so long that I have an emotional, nostalgic connection to some of the older ones. Music video era, like everything. We did our track 2's rankings, and that's like Picture to Burn, Blank Space. It's really tough if you ever feel like doing that for fun, by the way.
Yeah.
But when I was
Cruel Summer's on there, it's a tough one.
It's a tough list to rank Taylor Swift's track 2's, but all the older ones I'm so emotionally attached to the older songs, to the debut songs, to the Speak Now songs, but then it's like, but you have the new ones that are so excellent as well in their own right. So favorite music video, it's like, and I'm not saying this just because, but I do love the Story of Us music video.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. And also what just popped into my head is Look What You Made Me Do. It was I actually just made a post about this, how it was one of the most iconic comebacks ever. So, and the detail in that video too. She doesn't make a bad album. She doesn't make a bad music video.
Yeah, and she was right when she said it was going to take us years to find all the Easter eggs in that music video. Can confirm.
Yeah, 100%. I love the man Opalite too. The man. Oh, the man was so video. Good. Yes. The man was
Just
so
coming
good.
out with that statement at the very end. It was
Yeah.
Taylor Swift the whole time, written and directed by Taylor Swift, owned by Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
That was such an iconic moment.
And of course, how could we not? I mean, if you consider it a music video or not, but the All Too Well short film, obviously.
Oh my God, yeah. I see it. That one didn't even cross
It's
my
its
mind.
own
Yeah,
entity.
it
It's
is.
its own
It's a movie. It's a movie.
What do you think is next for Taylor Swift? There's always rumors. Is there another encore coming? What do you see for Taylor Swift as far as fans for the next couple of years?
Well, I'm really, really hoping that this year we get debut Taylor's version. There's no more perfect time, in my opinion. 20 years is a big milestone. That's iconic. So I'm hoping that I'm right about that. I hope it comes this year and we have that to focus on. And I'm sure Taylor and Travis are wedding planning, hopefully. Hopefully they'll get married this year. It sounds like it from the rumors swirling, but we'll see about that. And then the following year, I don't know, she's not going anywhere. That's why I can't stand when people are like, oh, she's going to get married. And she doesn't like when people say that either. She corrected that guy in an interview for Life of a Showgirl promo.
And I quote her a lot, but that's a shockingly offensive thing to say.
And you know what? It is. It absolutely is. She loves what she does. So she turns to music and writing when she's happy, when she's sad, like in every feeling in between. She's never gonna stop. So I wish people would stop thinking that she's gonna go away. She might take a well-deserved break after what she gave us the last, even the last 5 years, we've gotten so many albums between the Taylor's versions and stuff. But I think there's probably a new album coming in 2027. If I had to guess, that would be my guess. Because her old pattern was every 2 years, and she's been giving us stuff like every year the last 5-6 years. So I could see her going back a little bit to her old pattern and coming out with an album next year. But then again, this year, if we have debut Taylor's version, that's, another album this year.
Yeah. It's also crazy to think about her next new album would be her 13th album.
I know.
And I wonder what she would call it. I wonder, she's gonna go, like, we've seen her go so hard for things.
Yeah.
I cannot even begin to fathom how hard she's gonna go for her 13th album.
It's gonna be insane. It's gonna be even more promo than Life of a Showgirl was that 1 week. I'm really excited for that. I don't think she'll disappoint. And I'm excited for, like, how is she gonna ever outdo the Eras tour? You know what I mean? You can't. But she can do something different. She can't try to do the same thing, and I don't think she will. I think she's gonna let it be what it was and probably come up with some other genius way to do something new.
Yeah, and then we're all gonna be like, of course.
Like, why didn't we think of that?
Why didn't I think of that?
I've thought about her maybe doing a residency at some point, kind of similar to what Harry Styles is doing.
Yeah. Well, there was rumors about that for a little bit, about like the Vegas sphere.
Yeah, but it's so small.
Right. I'm like, and I've even thought about, like, if she does a residency, like, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to make sure I'm there.
And that's the thing. I mean, everybody's going to everyone around the world would fly in for that. So whether she did one long-term one in America or like a few different ones across the world, I could see her doing that just for like life work balance,
Yeah, for sure.
If she does have a family with Travis, which she has indicated in her songs that she very much wants that, then what better way to put on shows than to be able to, hop on home the same night?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, so excited. So excited for the fandom. So excited for Taylor Swift. So excited for you, Olivia, and your book, The Story of Us. We are so proud of you, and we're so thankful for you for putting this fandom's story into writing. You've done a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful job. Like, cannot stress that enough.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm so excited for everyone to read it. And I hope that the ones that have been around all those years are like, oh my God, like you did. Like, oh my God, I forgot about that.
Yes.
When they read it.
It's beautiful. It really is wonderful. If there's anything, just before we go, if there's anything that you want your readers to take away from this book, what would that be?
I would love for the readers to pay very close attention to the illustrations in the book. I met this, well, I didn't officially meet her in person, just on Zoom, but I found this Swiftie illustrator in England. Her name is Sion, and she's just brilliant, so talented. And I was so excited to get to work with her on this book. And we spent so much time. Actually, going back to your question about the hardest part of this book, maybe the illustrations, because I wanted them to be so Swiftie coded, so detailed. You know how we notice all the tiny little things, and even like the foreshadowing in the illustration. So I would love for the readers to really look at every single detail in each illustration, because a lot of thought and heart went into those. And yeah, that would probably be my big takeaway.
That's really incredible. Thank you so much for sharing all of that with us. What's next for you, Olivia? What's your coming months looking like?
Well, my coming months are full of book press and probably more podcasts, and then kind of seeing where the wind blows, see where life takes me, and hopefully do some different things within the music industry and build on what I've been doing, and continue doing anything that helps make the fan experience better.
That's beautiful. We're so excited for you. And if you go
Thank
on a
you.
book tour and you happen to be in Dallas, Texas, let us know.
I actually I'm about to announce the book tour events, and there's not one in Dallas, but if you guys can make it to one, I would love that.
That would be awesome.
There will be one in LA, which is probably the closest out of all of them to you.
We're so excited. If you add any dates, and
yes.
Dallas happens to be on there, let us know. You're
I would
always
love
welcome
that.
on this podcast, and you're always
Thank
welcome in our
you.
studio. We just love you so much, and we're so excited for you. So
I
thank
love you guys too. Thank you so much for having me. This was so fun.
Yay! We're excited for Swifties to finally have this in their hands.
That's been a long time coming too. I feel like I announced it so long ago.
But you've done a great job of keeping us, like, you're the little Easter eggs, the teasers. You've done a great job promoting this. It's
you.
almost like Taylor Swift taught you how to do all of that.
I learned everything I know from her, so.
And it's almost here. Don't forget to pick up The Story of Us, where Olivia shares her experience as a Swiftie. And I love that you have penned all this. This is now going down in history for anybody to be able to read, to remember, to laugh, to feel nostalgic about.
Cry.
So thank you so much. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much, guys. That was so fun.
Thanks for listening. The 13, a Taylor Swift fan podcast. Subscribe for free and leave a positive review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Google Podcasts.